Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. We are back for another episode of the Hiring Lens. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are live on Jeremy, LinkedIn, YouTube, your Facebook page. Each month we do this and we really, really enjoy it. So hopefully we're going to get a few people join us again, and looking forward to catching up with people and hashing out all things hiring. So for those that have joined us before and maybe are joining us for the first time, we're just three recruiters. We're normally joined by Christine, the wise pineapple, who I'm sure a lot of you know. Sadly, she can't join us this month. But we're still going to have a good show. We're going to have a great time. We've got some really cool things we're going to be talking about. This month, it's all about the candidates. So we always hash out all things hiring from an employment perspective. So from the client side, this month, it's all about candidates. How to improve your job search, how to get hired better, how to have the perfect resume, CV. So I'm really looking forward to this. So guys, it's a pleasure as always, but let's kick it off. So
I wanted to say, I'm so happy to see you guys. I missed you guys. I need this. It's my Friday. I'm looking forward to this. So really excited doing this segment. If I make a flub, you can call me out and make fun of me. You know the deal.
Yeah, you won't. You never do. You never do. So no, it's all good.
Except for when Christine's here and I forget to intro her, and then I do it extra twice, that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know, I do that a lot. But
so how do you guys want buzzer back this week?
I do have my buzzer. I gotta wait for those perfect moments. Hey, so yeah, like you said, Aiden, this is all about the candidate. So if you are watching live right now, if you have questions as a candidate, throw them in the comments section and we will pull them up. Tell us where you're watching from. We'll pull that up too. If you have something you want us to bring up that's not about hiring, I don't know if it's appropriate. I'll bring it up. So just let us know. But we do have some questions that are commonly asked questions, and I'm going to bring a topic up right now and let you guys kind of start the tips. And right now, let's just do some preparation talk.
Lovely. Nothing like getting straight into it.
Yeah, that's it. Aiden, do you want to take it? Do you want to go for it? Yeah.
Absolutely. To be honest, the top tips for an interview. First thing, I think like Jeremy just said, please comment away. If you've got any top tips immediately for an interview and you want to share them with us and with everybody else that's watching, please put them in the comments because we will read them out. We'll bring you up and we'll chat about it. Whoever LinkedIn user is, great to see you guys live again. I'm going to hazard a guess. Tom, who do we think this is?
David.
Yes. That's what I think. If it is you, David, LinkedIn user, it's great to have you on with us again. Top tips for preparing for an interview, right? Endless. But I think the big thing we need to just try and give everyone some clear, obvious things to think about, right? So top tips. Preparation is absolutely key. Before you do anything in terms of your interview, you have to prepare. The famous saying is, you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. That genuinely is so true when it comes to interviewing. You have to prepare. And I would therefore say, look, when it comes to preparing, turnover, profit, not just going on the company's house, company's website and bringing off who they are and what they do. Look at company's house, look at their financial statement, try and find out their profit and loss. And obviously I'm coming from a financial perspective, but I genuinely think for any industry, that's really important. One, you want to know the business is profitable and they've got a good P&L aside from all of the fancy stuff that's on their website. I could carry on and go into loads of detail on this. And I have a few other points, but what about you, Tom and Jeremy?
So mine, I suppose we're going to just keep going around, aren't we? So my first one is one that I think is sometimes actually left to the end, and that is plan your route. Make sure you're there on time. Look at the route that you're going to be taking, whether that how many trains you got to take or what the route is in terms of traffic on that day. Jump onto Waze the day before. Look at your routes, because at the end of the day, you want to arrive 10, 15 minutes early. You want to be calm. You want to collect yourself. You want to be able to step into that room and be the best you can possibly be. And the last thing you want is to be rushing around, stuck in traffic, not got the right train, missed that one, need to get the next one. Crap, what do I do? Now I need to start messaging somebody to say I might be 5-10 minutes late. It's all this stuff that you don't want to happen. So really simple way of doing it, plan your route. If you're able to, if it's a local job, if you're in, Aiden sort of area, the Herts, Beds and Bucks area, maybe even the week before, take a drive over there. Wax some music on, get in your car, drive there. See if there's parking on site. If there's not, figure out where to park. It's this sort of stuff that just makes your morning or your afternoon, whenever you do that interview, so much smoother, so much easier. I've done it in the past.
If you're going to do that, tell them you did it as well. Like, don't do all this really good preparation and go and see a site and then not tell them that you went to see the site. Like, literally tell them you were there. What did you like? What didn't you like? What could they improve on subtly, from that instant experience? Because they love that. People want to know that you've fully prepared. So absolutely make sure you're telling them you've done that if you're going to put time and effort into seeing a site, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you've had some candidates that have had they've been like pubs and stuff, and you've had candidates go into the pubs, order a drink, see what the atmosphere is like, see what the team's like. That is another really good way to understand what the team culture is and what the sort of company culture is of the people within it. And I think that's a really cool way of doing it as well. So yeah, that's my quick one before it goes around again.
Jeremy, we could go on, I know, right? But let's
I have a question for you since it's live.
Yeah.
My email, my messages are going off the charts. Can you guys hear? Ding, 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 ding. And can you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay, I'll turn it off in a second. So before I do that, I would say talking about the interviews, preparation, let's talk about video interviewing, because that is like half of the interviews or maybe more now, right? So if I could just do some quick things off the top of my head, treat the video interview like it's a face-to-face interview. So everything you guys have been saying about being early, yes. Don't just think it's this 11 o'clock video interview, you can show up at 11 o'clock. Yeah. Make sure that you sign in early. Don't worry, they're not going to have this awkward moment where you're talking to the hiring manager early. They usually hang out in a green room or in the back, and then they'll sign in right on time. So that's fine. But make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that the software is ready on your computer and it works, right? So do a test run. Make sure optically it's clean and organized behind you. Make sure that you have good headroom. You're not like your head's not down here, slouched. Make sure you're dressed for like that. Oh, it drives me crazy. Make sure that your lighting is good. And those are just quick off the top of my head. But video interviewing preparation, I think, goes hand in hand with the face-to-face preparation you're talking about.
Yeah. What's your question?
Sure.
My question?
Yeah.
But
the question.
The messaging. Did you guys hear the
right.
Because I have my headphones on. No.
Yeah,
I'm like, do you guys hear all these notifications like going off? I'm like,
no.
Are they about this?
Some of them, but I'm not looking at them.
No, I don't think
it's like so many of them. I don't know what's going on.
So Dave has just brought, what's your thoughts on interviewing the interviewer? Bring that up. Like, 100%. An interview isn't just about impressing the line manager that is interviewing you and trying to convince them to hire you. Hiring has always been, but is more important and more so now about finding a nice balance between the hirer and the candidate, right? The employer and the employee. Absolutely, you need to interview the interviewer. However, just be slightly cautious in how you do that. There are very good ways of doing that. There are very modest and confident ways of interviewing people that are interviewing you without absolutely flipping the interview on its head. Because if you do flip it completely and it becomes one-sided, i.e., from the employee's perspective, interviewing the employer, it won't look good on you. So if it's going to be one-sided, let it be theirs. But a perfect interview is 50-50, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think it's one of these things where I always see them now. I think when I was a lot younger, it was always this sort of, question answer scenario where you just hope to God that you're able to answer the question well enough. Whereas now it's a lot more of a sort of business meeting. This is what you're able to offer me. This is what I'm able to offer you, and a discussion around that. Of course, there's going to be questions directed at you from, a biographical perspective of what have you done within your role that's suitable for this and so on. But I do believe that there needs to be some insightful and well-designed questions to the interviewer to get them to open up, to talk about what is happening within the business, or who has progressed, people that have gone for the same job in the past. Where are they now in 12 months? What have you seen in terms of their sort of success? Then you'll understand them as a manager as well. How involved are they actually within that? Or are they actually completely separate to it? And, it's that sort of thing. It's having that two-way conversation rather than it being, as you say, so one-sided. It just becomes stale.
100%.
I'm going to bring up the next topic because we got a lot of them, guys. This one's a fun one.
Before we bring it up, if anyone has anything they want to say, obviously, I know I mentioned this earlier, but please comment like you do most sessions that we run, and give us something to bring up. We'll
try to make us nervous.
Things today.
Try to make us nervous too. Throw us a curveball. Those are fun. All right. So the next one is what are some do's and don'ts in an interview? May I start this one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I have one that I can't stand. Maybe you disagree with me, but when the interviewer, when you ask somebody a question and they tell you it's on their resume.
Wow.
Like you say, hey, tell me a little bit about blah, blah. Oh, well, it's on my resume. And I'm like, okay, so first of all, you're thinking that I did look at your resume, but a lot of times, like, these are cut and paste resumes sometimes. Sometimes I just want to dig in. Sometimes I want to hear more about you through your mouth. Maybe I understand exactly what you do as a director of sales and marketing. I get it. And it's the bullet points are there on your resume. I get it. But I want to hear more about it through you. I want to hear your emotion, your passion. And if I'm asking you, I'm asking you for a reason. So don't tell the recruiter that it's just on your resume.
I was going to say, that's a ballsy thing to say as well, to be quite honest with you. I don't think I've heard of anybody doing it. But wow.
Oh, I have. Maybe it's an American thing, but they do it here.
I've had that. A similar thing to that actually, it's in a lot of people's vocabulary naturally, and therefore they say it and then they do this without realizing they're doing it. But there'll be times that maybe you answer a question, and then the next question that the interviewer might ask you is similar to what the question was prior, or you're going to use the same example, the same scenario. Do not start with "as I said," because a lot of people, especially to be fair, in the UK, this comes up a lot. People will say it just naturally because it's like, "Oh, as I said," but actually, how that comes across is you haven't just listened to me.
As I said.
So how it comes across is you haven't listened to what I've just said. So let me just explain it one more time for you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just a big no-no. Yeah, it's a big
just
no-no.
Don't even say it. Just answer the question. Right. Like it's not worth it. It's not
100%. But what I guess some people might say that without realizing they're saying it, or they don't say it in a rude way. It's just their natural starting point of a subject they've already spoken about. But obviously it just has a detrimental effect to the relationship within the interview at that point.
No,
that's
definitely
a brilliant point. I can't believe I didn't list that one. That one's good. Yeah, I
was going to say mine is actually a do and a don't. It's almost part and parcel. Don't ever leave that interview without knowing what the next steps are. It's the easiest question at the very end of your interview. Just simply say, what are the next steps? When will I hear back? The reason I say that is because a lot of candidates actually forget that altogether. They leave that interview, they go home and they think, am I supposed to contact them? Are they going to contact me? Are they contacting me tomorrow? Should I email them tomorrow? Should I email them at the end of the week? There's a new, a number of scenarios that you start rolling around in your head, but they're all mitigated if you simply just say at the end of the interview, what are the next steps? So the do is ask that question. What are the next steps? The don't is do not forget to do that, because it is ultimately your view into what happens next. And then you can say to yourself, if they say on Friday, we're going to contact you to say, we'll let you know what the feedback is. If you don't hear back on Friday, you have every right to drop them a call and say, hi, spoke to Sandra on Tuesday at my interview. She said I'd hear back on Friday. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm really keen on the role. I'm really excited about it, and just wanted to find out what the feedback was. There you go. You're in the driver's seat then. That's all I'd say.
And to elaborate 100%. On that, that gives you a receipt, right? A receipt of an action to take, because a lot of candidates get nervous about being annoying, and they don't want to annoy the recruiter, or they don't want to seem too persistent or desperate, right? When you have that receipt, like, hey, you'll hear back from me by Friday, then the candidate knows, like, hey, I didn't hear back. And now don't write back and say, hey, you told me by Friday you hear back. Don't do that. Just now you know that's the time that you can reach back, right? You have that verbal receipt. I agree 100%. I would say a do, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I'm a huge proponent for talking about salary. And nobody wants to do it. They feel like it's like, tacky. But look, if you're starting in the interview process, you do not want to go through 4 or 5 interviews and they get slapped in the face with something that's not even a fit for you financially. A lot that, like, again, this is not a common. There's recruiters who will argue with me on this. I know this, and I've had backlash on it, but I always talk salary and range right in the beginning, because this is super important. This is essentially at least half of your decision making right there. So
100%.
Guys, okay,
100%. Yeah. I think if you're working with a recruiter, you're going to expect that they know the salary, right? They know the band, they know the range. So that's great. But yeah, absolutely, when you're not working with a recruiter and you're going forward for jobs and it doesn't have the salary on it, by the way, that's a whole another topic which we've covered on Clubhouse before. And I know we're all in agreement that they just shouldn't advertise a job without salary. However, they do. So if you apply for a job and you get into a conversation with them, absolutely bring it up. And you can bring it up without it being rude or without it sounding like that's the only thing you want to do. Like, you can just be quite emotive about it. Like, I would say, I'm really interested in this job from the offset. Like, it seems great. That's why I've applied for it. Obviously, I'd like to know a lot more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, the salary wasn't on the advert, and by all means, I'm not applying for a job just simply for salary. But obviously, it is quite an important thing for me and my family, and I can't move for, anything less than, I guess, the expectation that I have in my mind and what I'm worth. So can we just have that conversation? Is that okay? What's your range? And that's a real nice way of saying it, rather than just going, look, the salary wasn't on the advert. Can you tell me what it is? There are very good ways that you can have awkward conversations, right? And it's not even awkward, but it might feel like an awkward conversation for people. So just bring it up in the right way and show that it is quite an important aspect for you.
I mean,
I've heard it go sideways too many times. I'm sorry, I'm just chiming in. Like, I've heard it go sideways too many times. People ask me that. I tell them, talk about salary. They don't. And then I get a phone call after 5 interviews. They offered me 90, but I told them 120. I'm like, bring it up.
I think if in the event, I mean, I've spoken to lots of candidates that have gone direct and so on, and they've always said, how do I bring this up? How best to do it? Because of course they don't have a recruiter that is so used to just going, what's the salary? What is it? Because how I'm going to work on this job. And I think one of the sort of really easy ways, and it's actually when you do the prep, going back to what we were saying earlier, is you can jump on to various salary censuses, online sort of ranges of where you're currently at. Jump onto your job boards, read Total Jobs. They'll have salary bandings on them. So just look at the other roles that are being advertised in the same segment or the same market and look at where you're sitting. And then you could say to them, look, after doing some research before the interview, looking at some salary surveys and looking at where my role is in the industry, I'm looking at this and thinking it's between 40 and 45. But what is the salary range? And you could say, because I'm also interviewing at this place and this place and this place. You've then got a bit more of a sort of substance behind you asking the question, because it's you just being a professional. It's a big decision to change jobs. There's no doubt about that. And if you're changing it, as Aidan alluded to, your lifestyle is dictated a lot by your salary. And if you want to maintain a certain lifestyle for you, your family, and so on, it needs to meet certain requirements. So I'd say to anybody, ask the damn question, just do it in the right way.
Hey, and this is a thing that I think people should take advantage of, recruiters more often, is ask a recruiter. Don't ask one, ask a couple of people, recruiters, headhunters in your niche. what the going rate is. I get these at least once a day. I get 5 of these. Jeremy, what's a DOSM looking for in Miami? Maybe because I talk about this a lot, so people just reach out to me a lot about salary. But the reason we know these things is because Thomas and Aiden and myself and all the other recruiters out there that are successful are having these conversations every day. So we talk salary, we know the market, and Miami might be a lot different than Tampa salary. So you have to know not just what your role is commanding, but the area. So I'm sure the same thing in the UK. London is probably different than Manchester. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
So like you got to know your cities. You got to know the title and the geography. You got to know the whole package. So talk to your niche recruiters that are working those searches. And we have no problem giving that to you, because guess what? We can also add you to our network, because we want you in our network, because we can work you. So win-win.
And also, there are companies out there that just pay rubbish salaries. So actually, you need to know. Otherwise, you might end up interviewing for one of those companies that look like they're great, but actually they just pay dog awful salaries, and therefore you're wasting your time.
Adele has something I'm gonna bring up. I didn't even read it yet, so I'm just gonna see what it is right here. Boom. Okay, Adele. I just feel like a range could be 50% if someone has attitude and aptitude, but needs to be trained from soup to nuts for the job. If I say the role is 40K to 80K, even the novice is going to get upset with less than 80K, which takes years of experience to get to. Okay.
Can I tackle that?
Yes. Go ahead.
So my thought, that's a really good point, Adele. And there's lots of companies that hire people and have a range in their mind, right? So if you're junior and you need a bit of experience, it would be this. But if you're senior, it will be this. You know what I would do? I would put 2 adverts out, and I would have one at 60 to 80K or 70 to $80,000, and I'd have one at 40 to 45. So you can differentiate immediately your junior and your senior candidates. Go through both, interview both, take the best pick for you. You're then not going to have someone that's upset that they're not getting 80K because they didn't apply for that job. And if they did apply for that job, quite frankly, they shouldn't have applied for it.
That's a great question. That's a fantastic answer. I see that a lot. Like if you look, you'll see director of food and beverage posted at the same property as a, food and beverage manager. And you're wondering, is this 2 roles or is it 1? But it happens often. So Aiden, that's spot on. Thank you, Adele, for asking.
And to add to that, just to caveat it, I'm not then saying, because obviously there's an issue sometimes with adverts that aren't actually adverts. It happens a lot more in. Sorry if you can hear a squeaky toy. That's my dog behind me playing with it. I'm going to take it off you.
Bring him up. Let's show. Just bring him on camera.
Bring him up.
We like dogs. Come on.
He's not a puppy anymore. I'll get him up in a second. Let me tackle this answer. Obviously, there's a big problem with job seekers thinking and finding that the agencies or employers are advertising jobs that aren't live, right? They're not actual jobs. And it's a big bugbear of mine. It's a pain for our industry. But in this situation and this example, you do have potentially 2 jobs. You just don't know what level you're going to recruit at. So it's okay to do that. So I'm glad you like the idea, Adele. And you should certainly do that.
Hey, I have a common question. This one is insane. Do you guys want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
Boom.
Wow.
I've submitted a ton of applications, but I haven't heard back from anybody. What am I doing wrong? Why am I being ghosted? Why am I not hearing back? Is it me? Good Lord, this could be a whole hour conversation. Let's jump into it. Thomas, what do you think?
I was going to say, well, first thing I'd say to anybody that's thinking this right now is you're not alone. For the last 18 months to 2 years now, we've all had this where we've had candidates that have applied for 400, 500, 600 jobs, and they've not even heard anything back in some cases, and so on and so forth. You're not alone. It might not even necessarily be something that you're doing wrong per se. It's not ever going to be your skill set that's going to be the thing in the sort of in the black, if you like. In the wrong. Sorry, it's going to be the people that are also applying, because you've applied for 600 jobs. You can definitely depend on 1,500 other people doing the exact same thing. So what I'd say is maybe look at your application, look at it from, maybe get somebody else external to you to look at your CV. Maybe look at the wording if you're doing some sort of cover letter. I don't know what industry you might be in, but if it is hospitality, we don't generally use them. But if you are, look at your cover letter, see how it's actually designed. What you want to make sure, and I'm sure we'll come on to this soon anyway, but you want to make it clear, concise, and punchy. You do not want large amounts of information that somebody has to digest when they have hundreds of applications to a job. Any Jeremy knows this from both sides of the fence. Any HR manager or any direct employer does not want to do that. They want to see they'll look at your profile, they'll look at your first job, they may look at your second one, and then they'll make a decision as to whether you might be right for that job. They're not going to get onto the second page or third page of your CV, and they're definitely not going to read a cover letter if they've got 600 others to do. So think about the content in which you are applying.
For people that are probably seeing my gigantic smile during Thomas's explanation, it's because our first Clubhouse, we talked about this, and Aiden and I were in a complete disagreement. Aiden's smiling, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm right and he's wrong. Well, maybe I am right and he's wrong, but no, I'm just joking. No, Aiden is in finance, so he'll tell you the opposite of what Thomas. For those of you watching, for Thomas and I in our industry in hospitality, our resumes are typically, depending on your senior experience and what level you're at, C-suite versus entry level, 1 page to 3 pages tops. Typically, I'm seeing 2 pages. That's normal. But Aiden enlightened me because I had no idea. In your industry, Aiden, can you elaborate? What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably more my opinion than my industry, in all honesty, because, and I think you'll find that it's the same in your industry as well, that there'll be people that are saying, no, look, 4 pages is fine. So my view, to be honest, is that 5 is too much, but 4 is okay if it's relevant, sharp, snappy, achievement-led. If it's 4 pages, but it's mundane, it's monotonous, it's exactly the same for every job, then absolutely your CV just isn't going to get that much interest and you should cut it down. But my thoughts were, it doesn't have to be 1 or 2 page max, because I've seen some really good finance CVs that are 3 pages and they've gone on to 4 that have been absolutely brilliant. And throughout you can see Barney now. Did you see him? And throughout my career of 10 years, I've not had anyone basically not get an interview because their CV is too short or too long. Like if it's relevant and good, you'll get an interview. And that's the thing. That's the point. It's got to be relevant and achievement-led and sharp.
So we keep on putting all this emphasis on the resume when in actuality it's not really the resume. Like really,
forget that.
Why are you not hearing back?
Look on LinkedIn and see the amount of people that spark up conversations for, maybe for likes and comments about CVs. Your CV should be 1 page, and then you just get hundreds of people just like bombarding in. No, you're wrong. No, you're right. No, you're wrong. And that's because there's a reason why talking about CVs generates the most comments and the most interaction, is because it is so diverse and so different for everyone that actually, of course, you're going to have so many people with so many different opinions on it. But what we all agree on, every single person in the comments agrees on, it has to be relevant, it has to be sharp, it has to be achievement-led, and it has to grab attention. So forget the numbers of pages, bar 5, and make it good. Make it good.
I think again we're giving resumes too much power. Like, look, I'm going to hire somebody if I've never even seen their resume, and they message me and they tell me, hey, Jeremy, I heard through my network that you're looking for a director of finance. I'm looking to relocate to Florida. Can I jump on a call? A good recruiter is going to say, okay, I'll ask maybe a couple more questions, and then I'm going to jump on the phone, and then I'll get the CV. I didn't even look at your CV. So my point is, cut through the noise. If you're not getting responses from your resume, maybe it's because you're just sending resumes. Maybe it's just because you're sending resumes. That's 100%.
It. I don't know. I don't know how many people we have watching, and if it's just us 3 and Adele, David, and Chuck, I'm really happy with that anyway. But if we have more people watching, please comment now what you've heard that a perfect CV should be in terms of pages, right? If it's 1 page or 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or up to 4, because I guarantee if we had loads of people commenting, we would have a variety of answers. So please feel free in the comments to tell us what you have heard and what you think a perfect size CV should equate to.
Even if you're watching this on replay too, we will reply in replay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Comments, because I know this will be living on LinkedIn and on YouTube, so
feel
free to do it there.
Jeremy, just want to put a final answer on this because it's something we've touched on before, and it's something I've said before, but just for the relevance of anybody watching this, in terms of obviously your application process, as I've said before, if you've applied for 100 jobs, whatever, right? Pick your top 5. Pick your top 5 and ring them next week. Ring them and put them in a list and say, right, these are my top 5 that I'd love to work for. So rather than just relying on my application where I've just clicked the button on a job site, I'm going to call them. Find the name on LinkedIn, whether that be the HR manager, which is usually found at the bottom of the advert. It's usually sort of either the hiring manager, the HR manager, whoever. Find the name, contact them on LinkedIn, try and find their office. These are all recruiter tricks that we've all done. Where we do just find numbers. We're horrible like that. We find people. We're very good at it. So start doing what recruiters do. Find the line manager, find the HR manager, find where they work, and call the office. It's a really simple way of you getting your name at the top of that list. That's all I'd say.
Hey, Ants. Hey, before I say big up to Ants on his comment, because Aiden seems to like it. Debbie. Debbie right here. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for watching. She used to hang out with us all the time on Clubhouse.
She did on Clubhouse.
There you go.
I feel like I know Debbie. I've obviously never met her.
But here we go. Ants. First of all, great name. Good comment. Yeah, it's content. You don't want to just fluff a resume to fluff a resume. But yeah,
I know that could be 1 page. It could be 2. It could be 3. But just don't worry about it too much. A good CV will get traction. People will be interested in reading it. So. No one's gonna really like your CV, get 2 pages and like really love it, and then go, I'm not reading that 3rd page. How dare they?
Hey guys, I have a question that comes to me a lot, and I feel like I don't have the best answer for this, so I'm gonna let you guys answer this. And this is this one right here.
Yeah,
I think I had my answer, but I'll wait till you guys answer and I'll jump in.
Yeah, it's a real tricky one because you have people paying lots of money to get their CVs formatted so that they beat ATS systems. For those that don't know, ATS is applicant tracking system. It basically is an AI piece of software that filters through candidates. The one thing I would say is that majority of ATS, in fact, I would hope to say all, do then at the end get filtered by a human. So your CV will get looked at in one way or another. The issue with ATS, or the reason ATS is there, is that it narrows down the candidates. If you've got 200, it will filter it into those that the AI software thinks are most relevant for the job. So you get coded in from 0 to 100. So if you're 50 or less, chances are you're probably not going to get a call because you're going to fill the job out of the 50 to 100 in terms of how the AI has categorized it. Just so people are aware.
Can I be a Neanderthal? Can I be a Neanderthal about this? And maybe I'm wrong, so I would love for you guys to just chop me down. And also after I do that, I want to address Christy. Christy, I see your comment. I'm going to bring it up in a minute. But the ATS comment, and I think I am probably being a Neanderthal on this. But so I have an ATS, of course, we all do. But I don't understand the whole obsession about these. I don't even know if it's just a way for these resume writers to make extra money. Because honestly, if I have a search, it's really freaking easy. Like if I have a director of sales and marketing, I literally put in my resume search of ATS, quote, director of sales and marketing, end quote, or do a Boolean thread, search it, and I find them all. Am I being a Neanderthal on this? Because I don't really put so much weight on this ATS.
I'm with you, bro.
Yeah, no, okay. So I agree. So I think the thing for us as recruiters is that we don't put every single applicant on our ATS. So we narrow down our search, we talk to people, we put them on our system, and then we already know them, we're aware of them, we've coded them how we see fit, not necessarily how their CV and the AI decides to communicate. So I think the big problem with ATS for most people is when you apply for a job at Google and you have hundreds and hundreds of applications and you need an ATS immediately narrowing it down, and therefore you have to get past that ATS software in order to get a call from the internal recruiter. That's where I think a lot of people have issues, not necessarily with recruiters directly. Because I've had that conversation before. People are like, oh, how do I get past ATS? And I'm like, look, you're talking to me. Don't even worry about it.
Right.
I'm talking to you. I've seen your CV. We're having a chat.
Make your title a common title. Like some of these companies give these wonky titles for a position that is literally a common position and they just make it up. That's when you get yourself in a problem. Like,
so that's a really good first thing to say to people is that if your job title on your CV or your company's giving you a weird job title, it's okay to change that on your CV. You're not doing anything wrong by changing your job title, because by the time you get offered the job, the employer knows that you can do that job. So your job title becomes irrelevant. So make your job title very consistent with the market. That's like, Jeremy, that's the first perfect thing to say. That's how you get past ATS. Job titles, make them common.
I'm going to bring up Christy's comment, fellas, because I think it's from our prior topic.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to be proactive like that. And I think she was talking about reaching out to hiring managers instead of just sending out applications, right? Because we're talking about reaching out. And I've either been ignored or searched and ignored. It's deflating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. If somebody has actively searched your name and then not replied or not at least built up some sort of conversation with you to say, hi, I know that you tried to call or whatever, that is not a company you want to work for. That is not, if I'd contacted somebody and they literally searched me and then they ignored my message, I would, just being me, I would immediately message them and just say, hi, just saw you went on my profile. Did you want to have a chat? In fact, I had a client do it the other day and I knew them, so it's fine. But that's something that I would do. Some people might not be as bold as brass like that, but I think you have to almost take a stance of, if they've searched you and ignored you, it's not a company you want to work for. And I know for anybody looking for a job, it's very difficult to make that decision.
I would caveat that though. I would caveat that and say, so I do agree with you in most of what you said there. However, when I filter out candidates, if I'm working on a job that's exclusive or retained and I know that I'm going to fill it and therefore I don't need to call the first candidate that I see, I actually narrow down all of my candidates I'm going to call that I think are relevant before I start calling them. So I'll go through every application. I will send an email to everyone that isn't relevant or that I'm not going to call. And then I will quickly look at the CV and I'll probably run a quick search of their LinkedIn and just kind of see, does it match up? What comments have they said? How active are they? Therefore, how active are they in their job search? And then I still won't call them immediately. So just because you get searched and then not called doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be called, but obviously there's a time on that, right? So like if Christy is being searched and then never called, that's not on. Because if you're having to put in the effort to look her up and look at her CV, you would expect a phone call to come from that.
And it's also how much did you reach out? So I'm going to dig in a little bit about the organizational part of recruiting. I'm sorry, as a job seeker. I'm a firm believer on like a few attempts. So like we're all human. If you've only reached out once, I'd kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. I would even give maybe even 2. That might be pushing it. Record it. If it gets past 3 attempts and they're ignoring you, okay, now it's time to cut the cord. Try to work it. And if you're really adamant about that position and that one particular person is ignoring you, go on LinkedIn and find another person in the company that you might want to reach out to. Say, hey, I reached out to Tracy and I was very interested in this opportunity. Is there a time that we could talk about this? I'm a perfect fit, blah, 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 blah. Also, Aiden knows, here we go. I thought you were going to do it, Aiden, but I always bring up the video messaging. Like, come on, like nobody's doing it still. We've been beating this drum for like almost a year now. You can go on Loom. You can go on so many of these all these websites that give you the opportunity to do a personalized video message. You can make a quick 30-second, 1-minute intro, hyperlink it, send it to them. If they ignore that, oh my God. I mean, last thing left is drive to their office and bang on the door, and you don't want to do that.
Wait at reception, like boiler room, right? Like a video message goes a long way. It's it completely removes the barrier of being non-personal. It basically shows that you're human. You get your personality across. It's more sincere. So if you can, do it. But look, I appreciate that also you can't just non-stop video message. It does become a bit mind-numbing, and it's hard to find time to do that. So just narrow down who you're going to video message. So David, video messaging work. Do it. David's like a huge, you know what? He is a great example of someone that had a tough experience through COVID, like a lot of people did, and then listened to recruiters, joined our clubhouse, was on our lives, and actually put into action everything we were saying. And he went from struggling in his job search to then getting multiple things where he was getting lots of conversations with GMs and other recruiters, to then landing a really good gig. And the amount of support that he got through his video messaging online just created this big brand presence. And actually, I feel like I know David really well because of him joining our clubhouses, but also what he was doing on social media. So he became this real obvious job seeker, and people loved that. And they then reached out to him. And you know what? Yeah, David was awesome.
He was authentic.
Yeah.
He was humble. Like you gotta watch, just be cautious of like just walking that line of like being authentic, but not too authentic, but not too desperate. That's what I mean. That what I'm about to say. He was authentic, but not desperate. And he shared his story and people related to it. And it really added up. Obviously now he's gainfully employed. I know Ants right here had a comment. As a recruiter, I'm assuming you're a recruiter, Ants. So if you are, welcome to the club. If you're contacted by a job seeker through LinkedIn or via email or voicemail, it's only fair to reply to them, let them know whether or not they should keep. Oh, come on. I'll run circles around my house. Absolutely. Like, please, if anybody contacts me, I don't care if you are in another niche and you have nothing to do with anything that I'll ever search for, and you're in another country. I don't care if you're in another country, not even in my industry. I'm still going to reply to you. That's just what smart recruiters do. I can't. I mean, that's 100%. And there's a lot of bad recruiters out there that don't, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of recruiters out there, but there's a lot of employers that do the same thing. It's something that we as recruiters. That's one of the reasons why we started our own businesses, because of the way we do things. It's our sort of it's our signature, if you like. And again, we've all had them where I've had candidates contact me from the Middle East and so on, and they don't have a visa to work in the UK and so on and so forth. But that from the first message, but that doesn't mean to say that you kind of go, oh, whatever. Like, I can't do anything with you, so go away. It's one of these things where you build a relationship up with them. You never know if my business starts dealing with the Middle East, in more sort of volume or whatever. It's the odd here and there, but you never know what paths may cross. You never know if he may come over here. You never know who he's talking to. That's the thing with my industry in particular here, in terms of my niche, in terms of revenue management. Everybody knows bloody everybody. If you are that guy that doesn't either respond, or if you're that guy that basically says, look, I'll come back to you on Thursday, just don't do it, you will get picked up on it. And people will start talking about it. And in recruitment, you can't afford that. You literally can't. So yeah, I completely agree, Jeremy. We need to be coming back to people. Don't get me wrong. There's one sort of part to this where if you get loads of applications and you're not at least giving some sort of automated answer to say, sorry, you're not right, you're in a very sticky situation. But I think if somebody directly contacts you, leaves you a message, a text, or an email, go back to them.
I don't consider applications contact. That's like they're clicking on like 100. No, I'm talking about they reach out. Hi, Jeremy. I'm so-and-so, right? And if for some, we're all human. Like if Thomas or I, sometimes that there's people that we maybe missed it. Sometimes LinkedIn, I get so many DMs on LinkedIn. Sometimes ones I don't even see. I swear, like I don't even, I'm like, how did I miss this thing?
Yeah,
just that is a question mark, and I'll get back to you and apologize like all the time. We're running 15 minutes left, and I think Aiden, you brought this up in the thread.
Just before that though, I just wanted to. I've just realised I put it down as you though, Jeremy. I don't know how that's happened, but anyway, if you want to hear about David's story about the difficult times that he's had and how he got through to the other end, and then has now managed to get his job, click on that YouTube link because it's an interview with him, and it gives him the stage that he always deserved, which talks about his whole journey through the whole pandemic, about losing the job and then going through the difficult times that Aidan mentioned and actually getting through the other end. And we talk about mental health in that. We talk about his journey, and it's just a really good one for anybody that is still struggling to find a job and is feeling really down about it. Click on that link because it's a really inspiring one. So
we'll put that in.
There you go, David.
We'll put that in the comments after the show wraps. Let's have some fun. I don't know how I'm going to answer this one without getting in trouble, so I'm going to be very careful about this. But the most embarrassing interview. Something like that.
I honestly have so many.
I have one that's like seriously like inappropriate that I have to be very careful how I articulate what happened. Severely inappropriate.
So these ones are concerning us, right? Like I've got one of
me interviewing somebody, not me as a candidate, because I'm a great candidate.
That's fine.
Yeah, a great candidate.
Okay.
No, for me, this is about us also having really like. For me, the reason why I brought this up is we have bad meetings, we have bad interviews, and that's okay. And we're not all perfect, right? So, and also it's bloody funny. Like, I just think it's funny to talk about sometimes where you've had some really embarrassing meetings. So I don't even know how funny this is, but it was really embarrassing for me and pretty funny now that I look back on it. But and I've got loads, but I'll start with this and then judge the reaction. But my it's not even that good. It's not even that good. But everyone, you're laughing already. So my first meeting, I was 19 years old, really, really keen to do well in recruitment, just pushed out to get this client meeting with this business that I like, huge business locally that I really wanted to see. Got this meeting with the finance director after however long I tried meeting him. Finally got it. Thought the meeting went really well. I was there for, 45, 50 minutes, had a really great chat with him. And I was sat with my right leg under my left leg the whole time, under the table. So ultimately just cutting off the blood supply. Pretty comfortable, but it had just gone numb and I hadn't realised. So then we got up and we've got to walk 2 minutes to the exit. And I stood up and I kid you not, I went up and I started walking like that and I couldn't walk. And I was holding on to the tables to come out and he was in front of me and he turned around and he was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've sat on my leg the whole time and it's now gone numb." And I had to then limp out of the meeting the whole way with him by my side, just cracking up about it. And it was the most embarrassed I'd felt in such a long time. Bearing in mind, I was brand new to recruitment. I was 19 years old and I was meeting this finance director that I hassled for a meeting for so long that, you know what, to this day, it's such a good little icebreaker with him when I catch up with him, but unbelievably embarrassing at the time.
Yeah.
Just so I'm an MMA fighter on the side, and last night I had to tap out.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
So I've got one, not at the start of my recruitment career, but actually when I stepped into the hospitality and revenue management world. It was the first meeting I did on my own, but it was also the most senior person that I'd ever met before. So I went into London, was one of these incredible high rises that you see and all the rest of it. And it was with the head of the UK for a very large hotel brand. And I was obviously very nervous. I was very nervous anyway, but I got there on time. There was nothing problem with that. Went into the interview. I've clearly felt very hot, and anybody that knows me, Aidan especially, he knows how red I go. So I went incredibly red, incredibly. And then throughout the meeting, it was fine, and everything was okay. I got out of the meeting and stepped into an interview. Into the toilet, and I saw the biggest wet patches under each one of my arms that you could see through the jacket. So I absolutely died. Okay, I looked in the mirror and I was like, "Oh my God!" And he was waiting for me because he was going to walk me down. And I was there like underneath the dryer. I was there underneath this and that and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, "Oh my God!" And then I realized that he graciously just obviously not mentioned it in anything else. And I walked back out, and then I actually mentioned it. I was like, I've just seen what's transpired in my suit. And he giggled and he was like, no, it's fine. And I was just like, oh, honestly, I was just absolutely boiling. And then he said, I could tell by your face. I was like, no, there you go then. But yeah, that was horrendous. I had no idea throughout. Walked into this bathroom and saw these 2 wet patches. So before I went out, if anybody walked into that toilet, they would have seen me with my jacket like this. Just so yeah, there's my one. Absolutely awful.
People. It happens.
Yeah.
So
Jeremy, I want to hear your X-rated one.
Yeah, so I read this as like candidates doing some pretty embarrassing things, right? So I have like several candidates that have done like out of control things, and the one that's borderline X-rated, I can share. I try to work around it. And then the ones that I had, like my bad interviews, they weren't really embarrassing. They were more like good learning lessons, right? So I don't know if you
want
a good
spin on it.
You want to hear the funny ones or the actually learning ones? Like that's
let's say the learning.
I want to hear the funny ones.
That's important.
I'll tell you guys the funny one offline because
cool. Okay,
and then the learning one I'll tell you. So, I had an internal interview. So internal interviews are the same. You know, it's just as important. And one of the smartest things I ever heard, which at the time I didn't know this, and I too was probably like 18, 19 years old. And I was in New York City at H&M. I started in retail. Before that's where I started my career in recruiting, was H&M, like when they first came to the United States. Long story short, it was my first year or two, and I was just a sales associate. I wasn't even a manager yet. And I was watching, since the company was brand new to the country, they were growing like wildfire. So you want to talk about opportunity, everybody around me was getting promoted except for me. And I'm wondering, like, what the hell am I doing? So I talked to my manager. Her name was Minar. And I spoke to her, and she had nothing but great things to say. Hey, Jeremy, we see you. We just have to hear that you want to move up. Like, we want to know. So what do you want to do? And I told her, well, anything. And she's like, well, Jeremy, you have to know what you want to do. I just want to be promoted. Like, this is a novice, younger, this is advice like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old should hear, right? She's like, look, Jeremy, come back to me in 6 months. You tell me what you want to do. You tell me what position you want to do. Then we'll talk about it. And then, obviously, like, I figured out what I wanted to do, and I went into management, and long story short, moved up to recruiting. But she was basically, that's one piece of advice that was really important. It sounds like idiotic to us because we're like, tenured in our careers, but a lot of kids don't know. They just want to move up. I want to be you. I want to be in your seat. Like, that's the kind of stuff they think, right?
Yeah.
And another, what I did think I bombed an interview, which is the main reason I am how I am and very candidate focused, and this is the truth, is because I faced the ghosting issue, right? I went through it, and I'm very empathetic to it. And because of what I'm about to say, turned me into the recruiter I am now. So that's a kind of a silver lining for people that are being ghosted out there. Just take your experiences and learn from them, blah, 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 blah. But for me, I went through the whole 9 yards. I went to the office. I did 4 interviews. I walked the property. I literally sat with my soon-to-be boss, saw my office, saw a schedule, saw everything. All I had to do was do a quick 15-minute phone call with the CEO. That's it. Easy, right? It's like usually like, hey, how's it going? I bombed it because I know I was too cocky. You guys know how I joke and I'm laughing with you guys. That's how I acted on the call. like I was just so loose. And a lot of these leaders are they're black and white, and they don't want to hear that. And they don't want to hear somebody who's too cozy. So lesson learned, just no matter how comfortable you are in the process, no matter how you think you slayed it, no matter how great you think you are, just a quick 15-minute touch base phone call with a CEO could blow it up. Like, you need to go in there with respect. I'm not saying to treat them like they're like high and mighty, but don't go in there like cocky. They'll read through it. So.
100%. Yeah. We've not offered people a job before because we've gone for a drink with them after their interview just to socialize and see if they get along with the team. And they've said things on a social setting that were just completely unacceptable. So they've interviewed with me, the MD, seen the team, been in the office, seen the environment, and then we're like, yeah, this person's great. Let's go for a drink with him after work. You're still in an interview, may I add, but let's have a drink on a social setting. And then they just say some crazy stuff that you're like, no, you've completely shown who you are, and that doesn't really work for us. So yeah, no matter what, just know your audience and always stay professional.
So that's me assuming that's the reason. I'm pretty sure it was, because I do remember being very comfortable with him. But here's the thing about, I say, the ghosting part. So after the interview, after going through 5 interviews, this is the 5th one, done. And I was getting schedules. I was getting everything, email, boom, 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 text, emails. They just disappeared. And I'm like, hey, Brian, the recruiter, hey, I haven't heard back from him in a week. I spoke to, the CEO. What, can you just let me know? Even if I didn't get the position, just let me know. I don't even, just let me know. They never got back to me ever after like 3 times. I'm like, just tell me that I failed it. I don't care. Just tell me. So like that experience of being ghosted, that hardcore being ghosted, being that far in the process really, really resonated. And it's always stuck with me, and it's turned me into the recruiter I am now.
Wow.
100%.
Bloody hell.
And you'll never forget that.
Never.
No. Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
I was going to say, I got one that's a really quick one, and it wasn't an interview or anything, but this is just hilarious. So I was trying to contact a candidate like constantly, right? He wasn't answering his mobile. Hey, you might remember this. And he basically picks up and then immediately says, I'll have to call you back shortly. And I was like, okay, sounds very sheepish, but okay. He hangs up. About 10 minutes later, he calls me back, but calls me back from a payphone. He doesn't trust talking on his mobile phone. So he has it. So he has it to receive calls and then to tell people that he needs to call them back. Calls me back from a payphone and says, I don't feel comfortable taking calls on my mobile. I'm like, okay, no worries. Okay. Lo and behold, he didn't go forward for an interview, but that was the weirdest encounter I've ever had with a candidate.
It's almost like they call him burner. Do you guys call him burners?
Yeah.
He's like, Thomas, throws the phone.
Next one.
Oh god,
that is crazy. Well, look, guys, this has been really fun. Always a shame we can't have Christine with us, but I think we've had a good hour. We've hashed out some really cool things, and hopefully everyone has felt that this has added a bit of value for them. As always, you can reach out to us directly. We'll always hear and listen to any of your comments and thoughts, and please join us again. So shall we just wrap up quickly?
Yep.
I'll start because I'm always the quickest. My name is Aidan. I'm the managing director of Ayla Recruitment, which is a finance recruitment company in the UK. I am always open to any questions, any comments. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And anything I can do to help your job search, I will do my best. Obviously, I don't recruit in the US, but maybe one day. However, as I said, reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, and I'd be more than happy to help anyone with their job search.
Awesome. I'll go next. Guys, you can find me on LinkedIn, which is the sort of Thomas Finn at Edwards and Finn. You can also find my YouTube channel, which has nearly 80 episodes on there now. We bring operational and commercial leaders from all over the world to talk about various different challenges, and we also go on site and things like that to see properties. So you can see my YouTube channel, which is Edwards and Finn, and then finally you can find us on Instagram, where we update everything that we've got going on with the business, including upcoming episodes on there as well, which is Edwards and Finn. So that's everything.
Hey guys, it's me, Jeremy Nichols with Gecko Hospitality. I am a Florida hospitality headhunter. But hey, I'll talk to anyone if they have questions, you have comments, you want to shoot me a DM on LinkedIn, you can reach me on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel, which is my name, really creative. Just look up that name and you will find me. And I'm very excited to announce that I hit over 1,000 subscribers this week. So that's pretty cool for some guy. Oh, hold on, let me buzz myself. Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Buzzing myself. So you can find me on YouTube. It's very candidate driven. Some stuff there for employers, but mostly candidate driven. And of course, you can always find us every final Friday of the month. It's Thomas, Aidan, Christine Trippy, who's not here at the moment because she's traveling, and myself. and we are always here to answer any questions. So we look forward to seeing you guys soon, and it's been a blast, guys. I will see you guys later.
See you all soon.
See you guys.